It's called the Sixth Generation of Chinese Cinema, and it's both a screening series and a symposium. There's two goals. Like, one is just to bring these films that are really some of the most important new independent cinema here to Rochester, where they've never screened before, and show them, in a theater setting, show them in film, as they deserve, for free, and to try to just expose the public to these films. And then the other goal is to bring in some speakers on the subject, some writers and a filmmaker and people that work in the film industry to talk about these films and how they're important and maybe what's coming up next for this sort of cinema. Like I was saying, I was already a fan of French New Wave and also neorealism. Like, I've always loved Fellini and then also Godard and then also Bresson and a lot of these filmmakers that here, it's not exactly like you see them at the DVD store, you know what I mean? I mean, they're out there and we can get them, and there's film festivals, that show these films, but they're not exactly in the public eye. And I think they're actually much more influential in some ways in mainland China. Like, they're more seen, more known. And so watching these films, they reminded me of these, the sort of the realism and the pace of it, and the way it seemed very much in a city with real people and feeling this level of realism. And then also I think the integrity of it, like it seemed like sheerly trying to portray some piece of life, not necessarily trying to be just, the new smart piece of entertainment coming out of LA. And I think this is one of the great things, and I imagine it's not going to last forever coming out of China, but in this particular time period, people were making stuff with not that much hope for any kind of commercial connection. So they weren't really competing with LA. They were outside of the system making films because they wanted to make films. But this is a unique event, and so we've gotten support and funding from New York Council for the Humanities, the New York State, and also from different departments at R.I.T, including the College of Liberal Arts, the College of Imaging Arts and Sciences, and also my own department, School of Film and Animation, to put together the funds to bring these film prints here, to get a theater locally to show them at, and to bring these visiting speakers here to speak here at the university. So it's been sort of a work in progress. It's taken a while. And now we're working with a really great team of students that are helping it really happen and come together this October.
One of the things that we're trying to do at R.I.T is to expand our international reach, and we believe very strongly that R.I.T is now becoming an international university, and we think that Asia is a very important destination for our students. Many of our students will be working with people in Asia. They will be going to Asia themselves. And of course, China is the leading country, the leading economy in Asia now. So the idea of inviting contemporary Chinese filmmakers to Rochester is very attractive to us, because it will give our students the opportunity to be exposed to ways of thinking, ways of seeing the world, ways of expressing ideas about the world that they're not familiar with. And so this is really part of the educational mission of R.I.T to prepare its students for living in a truly global society.
Well, I think the first way to answer that is to talk really about what the liberal arts are in a university setting like this. And I think the liberal arts are, provides a place for students to explore very critically, not merely the practices they're learning in other fields, but also to think very carefully about the implications, the assumptions of those practices. So in my case, if one is doing the philosophy of film, it's really about thinking very carefully about how this practice relates not merely to the arts or to aesthetics, but what kind of a form of knowledge it is, how that relates to our sense of history, our sense of culture, our sense of economics. All these things need to be kind of integrated and carefully analyzed, and the liberal arts, I hope, is a place where that kind of analysis can take place. We probably aren't very deeply immersed in the arts of contemporary China, And so I think this provides a very, very different and rich opportunity to explore what Chinese artists are saying about their own context, but in relation to the West, in relation to a Western practice called cinema that creates opportunities for dialogue our students won't previously have explored. Well, that we're very accustomed to seeing a society through a very narrow lens of its economic practices or its technologies, but we don't always take the time, perhaps, to investigate them more patiently through the arts. And so I think this creates just another way to more patiently approach China, and through traditions that are still very creative, very much emerging, still, we hope, unsettled and creative. And so it doesn't match up, perhaps, with the standard journalistic categories through which we interpret China.